Across Britain, serious violence is on the rise, with 100 violent deaths in London this year, including at least 16 teenagers.
In the last 24 hours, 7 more people have been injured in stabbings across London.
He's the third teenager to be fatally stabbed in the capital so far this year.
This summer, Panorama has been at the heart of one community affected by the violence, filming with the family of a murdered teenager.
A 17-year-old boy has been shot dead in Southwark. He was found in Warham Street just after 6 o'clock last night.
Rhyhiem Barton, a well-known rapper, was just 17 when he was shot dead in May this year. So what's fueling the murders of children like Rhyhiem?
Anybody who wants problems, stay away from our community. We want peace in our community.
Is there any way to end the violence?
I want you to understand, you killed my son, 17-year-old, yes, 17. My boy, my son, my son.
This is the Brandon Estate, South London, home to roughly 2,000 people. Rhyhiem Barton spent most of his life here, and it's where he died, a few streets from home. People on the estate knew him well and remember what happened the evening he was killed.
He was happy that day, very, very happy. Very reflective, talking about going on holidays with us and just making plans for the future.
That day I was standing in my balcony. I saw a group of boys. It was like, before I thought they was arguing.
We heard a loud bang noise and my mother said, "Oh, is that fireworks?" But then the thing is, all the boys that were downstairs, they started running.
I heard a bang, then I saw the boy, he was holding his chest with his 2 hands, and he was running, ran to this direction. All of them was running. The friend was shouting, "Please don't die, don't die." Then after running, the ball just fell on the floor. Between the pavement and the wall, that's where it fell, just right there.
I worked as a nurse and I just got this overwhelming, powerful feeling. I just thought, let me just run downstairs. So as I went there, I saw there was another boy that was trying to help, stem the bleeding, I don't know, and then he was trying to do mouth-to-mouth at the same time. So obviously I took over.
Down here was full of a sea of kids and you could hear the screaming and the police cars, you could see all the police cars. And I thought, no, something really bad is going on down there.
I had blood around my face because I was trying to do compression and I was trying to do mouth-to-mouth.
There's people with blood all over them, screaming and shouting. I'm like, this is crazy.
I just saw his eyes rolled over to his head and then he just stopped breathing. So I turned around and I said to his friend, he's gone, he's dead. The only time I don't see his face is when I'm sleeping because I don't dream. I don't think about nothing when I'm sleeping, so that's the only time I don't see his face.
By the time Rhyhiem's mother, Pratana Morgan, had arrived on the scene, the police were there. She wasn't allowed to touch her son.
I could see police getting closer and I could just see my plats. And approaching, I realized it was my son, and that's when I screamed out. I stayed with him. I stayed with him. He knows I was there.
2 days after Rhyhiem's killing, Pratana cleaned up the sawdust covering her son's blood.
I can't even explain how I feel. I'm still in shock. I just still can't, I'm not accepting it. Something is just not right here. And it needs to stop. I don't wish this for no one. And I just want to bring home my son and put him to rest.
Rhyhiem, seen here age 16, was raised in a Jamaican family. His mother wants to bury him back home.
As you said, you don't wish to have a funeral ceremony here, but to have a repatriation back to Kingston, Jamaica, and then we'll liaise with the funeral directors in Jamaica and ensure that the funeral ceremony out there is as you wish, okay? As you know, Rhyhiem's safe now with me, okay?
We were with Pratana when she went to view Rhyhiem's body.
Rhyhiem's probably the youngest murder victim I've had. When I met her, she told me all that she wanted to do was just be with her son and hold his hand. And today's really just about being with Rhyhiem for the day, and I believe he does look at peace.
Pratana raised her daughter Patience and Rhyhiem alone, but he did have contact with his father. Rhyhiem loved music.
These are just his little messing around, I guess, showing his character in more of his art. He enjoys himself like singing. Got a lot of potential. Like anything he takes up, he strives. So these drawing kind of act out who Rhyhiem is.
From a young age, his passion was to become a rapper.
Representing for my baby.
When he's young, even when we're going to Jamaica, he always DJ like Jamaica. I always want to get that accent. So I don't know if it was really a dream for him, but I know he had that talent naturally. He had that talent naturally.
But despite such promise, by just 8, Rhyhiem had been excluded from school. In fact, he was repeatedly excluded, attending 5 schools by the age of 15. That's how he first came into contact, aged 8, with Sace Holmes Lewis, a mentor who works with challenging young people.
Rhyhiem's character, he's very defiant, he's very forthright, he's honest in what he feels, and he says what he means.
Sace and Rhyhiem became very close. On the day he was murdered, Rhyhiem had been helping Sace coach a local football team.
So when I got the call, I didn't believe it. I had to verify it myself, had to call around and find out that it was true. I didn't really know how to kind of process it. Just literally, I had my son and my girlfriend looking at me. Obviously, I broke down.
At a meeting with local MPs and police in response to Rhyhiem's murder, the community's grief is clear.
At the end of the day, this needs to stop. Our kids are being gunned down on the streets where they've grown up. It needs to stop. I've known him since he was 5 and he's gone. My friend's got to bury her son. Oh God. Okay, I'm sorry.
When your community...
Rhyhiem's godmother, Lacey, pleads with her neighbours to help stop the violence between young people from different neighbourhoods.
This is our home. This is where we live. This is where our children have the privilege to run around and play. You do not let the enemy come in and do what he wants to do and go, and you are behind your windows. It doesn't work like that. That's not community. If you're under attack, I'm under attack. And let's take this message to these boys and tell them, no, it's no. Don't come back and
People living on the Brandon estate think keeping children safe has become more difficult because of cuts to London's youth services. Pastor Julian Khan ran a mentoring group for teenagers in a council building on the estate. But the building has been closed indefinitely, needing expensive renovation.
We got war in our localities, the war of austerity, the war of cuts. The police are virtually powerless in many ways. Take, for instance, this young man that unfortunately lost his life, Rhyhiem. A very good-looking, intelligent young man. He came to the center once, one of the times, actually twice. But once he came, he went straight to the keyboard. He was interested in the music. He was interested in asking questions about life. And if I believe, and this is my conviction, if this building was open at that time, there is a likelihood that he would have used this building as an option, and the death of that young man could have been prevented.
Criminal gangs claim territory around some estates and areas of London. Teenagers can get sucked into these gangs. Violent conflicts and feuds mean many think carrying a weapon is necessary.
Children are fighting over territory they don't even own, but they're willing to die for their postcode. They're willing to represent and take someone out because of that.
2 years before he died, Rhyhiem was stabbed after leaving the Brandon estate and going into a neighbouring borough. No one was charged.
He had been targeted before. He'd been chased with boys with machetes. He had been stabbed in the chest, which was inches from his heart.
Then I asked him, what happened? He didn't want to say anything to me, but I started thinking, what will actually happen if next time something like this is to happen to him and he doesn't make it? He didn't tell me much about his life. He was very private.
Marching and lean, splash him, do him up, watch him bleed. Someone check out the scoreboard, please. 16 who.
No one has yet been charged with Rhyhiem's murder, but his death is almost certainly linked to his involvement in this prominent drill group from the Brandon estate, Moscow 17. Drill is a form of rap. It is controversial because the lyrics often reference stabbing and murder. While not all drill artists are in gangs, there is sometimes overlap between drill crews and known criminal groups. By the age of 16, Rhyhiem had created a rap persona called GB. His family say he was known to the police, but Pratana says her son was never in a gang.
Why GB's up front with 2 shanks, so I got that scan.
I don't know what GB stood for, and to be honest, I don't really care because I will always refer to Rhyhiem as Rhyhiem.
YouTube.com/Tim Westwood TV. Tim Westwood TV, up at the spot.
By April last year, Moscow 17 were becoming a big deal. Their videos had clocked millions of views online and caught the attention of former Radio 1 DJ Tim Westwood.
Let's go.
Come on, gang shit, man.
Come on.
Russia. That's got things in plan. Took out the things and Jay got dash.
I told him, this music you're doing, you're talented in that, but I'm never going to support you in that way. You fighting for areas, I'm not, because I knew the dangers behind that.
In their most well-known video, Rhyhiem and the group taunted a neighbouring drill crew called Zone 2. When Sace discovered it, he went straight to Rhyhiem's mum.
Final straw was the music video. I said, look, this is what your son's up to, and he's going to get himself hurt. He needs to get rid of this. This is so negative. And that was, part of the decision to send him to Jamaica and get him away from this.
Pratana sent Rhyhiem to Jamaica in May last year to protect him. His uncle Sean looked after him during his 10-month stay.
So, we're gonna go to the studio now? We built the studio for Rhyhiem so he could be comfortable to stay and not go back to England as yet.
Sean had taken his own son, Armani, out of London aged 8 to keep him safe.
I got robbed already with my chain, so from that, just gave me a little fear in the streets because males, they have a difficulty on the streets. I can be at the wrong place at the wrong time and things can happen, so it just gives me a fear in being in England, so I really rather out here because I feel safe and opened up.
Sean believes in London, older gang members deliberately recruit children whose fathers aren't around into lives of violent crime.
Because you have some guys that call themselves the olders. The olders takes the position of being a dad to the young youths. They buy them trainers, they give them a tenner or a 20 quid, right? But that encourages him thinking that doing crime is right. Holding a gun is right. Holding a knife is right because their holder is telling them that.
Rhyhiem's whole family tried to convince him to stay in Jamaica. But by February this year, Rhyhiem was determined to come back to the UK to make music.
About a week before he went back to England, everyone didn't want him to go. But he felt like he was missing out But I told him, you're not missing out on nothing.
On his return to London, Rhyhiem went straight back to Moscow 17. Within 3 months, he was dead. Was drill music to blame?
Rhyhiem's life, I don't think it was constantly in threat. I think it was the people around him, obviously with the videos that he had put out. I think that he made himself a target via that. But in terms of his actual activity, you know, on the road, I don't believe that made him a target.
No offense, episode 3.
After Rhyhiem's murder, Moscow 17 were interviewed on an online show.
Episode 3, your host, Mr. Montgomery, and here today we have Moscow 17.
The man you're about to hear from is Moscow 17's lead rapper, Sadiq Kamara, known in the group as Incognito.
I'm in shock still, man, shock. Don't believe it. We don't believe it's happened still. Feels like he's on a holiday.
My team on roll, still ride on Jovi.
This is Incognito's tribute to Rhyhiem.
Still love her beauty.
Do you think drill music incites violence?
You see, with the crime that's happening right now, music does influence it. You got to put your hands up and say drill music does influence it, innit? But knife crime and gun crime has been happening before drill music.
Way before drill music.
So if we want to talk about 10 years, 20 years back, people are still getting chefed up.
But this summer, the police have taken action against some drill groups. They've asked YouTube to take down dozens of drill videos, and some of Moscow 17's videos were removed from the internet. Drill artists feel they're being unfairly targeted.
Smoke bit loud to the dome. Flavors. Them man know not to lap round me, get away, the chance is old.
Skengdo and AM from South London are two of the most prominent drill artists in the UK.
If you ban drill music, do you think that's going to stop violence and crime and all this stuff? Because it's not. This has been happening way before we started, way before drill was even a word like to everyone's ears.
Was that how you're feeling, JB?
But Skengdo and AM's lyrics are violent. So did they accept their music could have an influence on their listeners?
It's not my responsibility to stop other people's kids from listening to my music. If your kid goes out and watches a film that's over 18 but he's 10, it's not the company's fault, the people that make the film. It's actually you as a parent. However, I do understand that whether I like it or not, kids are going to listen to the music and they might not be mature enough to know that there's actually negative consequences of certain things that we're saying.
Well, you can't keep it 100. Anything I said, I done.
They say their lyrics reflect the world around them, and that music is a way out of deprived neighborhoods.
It provides, do you know what I mean? We're trying to just make it better for ourselves. That's how I get my money, legally. I don't do nothing illegally. I just do what I gotta do, and do you know what I mean?
Nothing ain't new to me. Jokers, how you starting in YouTube vids, wearing your oldest jewellery. When they see me, they run.
But there is no doubt that teenage feuds between neighborhoods and local drill groups are being intensified on social media.
It's all about being accepted through social media, and that's a problem. Like, it's a disease. Like, children that have no self-esteem are dependent on likes on social media to feel validated about themselves. Like, they have a scoreboard now. So if you kill this person in this way, then you get a scoreboard. Like, it's a game. They can't separate fantasy from reality, and that's a major problem.
Before Pratana takes Rhyhiem to Jamaica for burial, she invites friends and family to come and see him for one last time. Many of them are still school children.
Yeah, we're going to have let everyone say their goodbye, because you can't get to come to Jamaica. So it's just like everyone just sending on their love, having a look at Rhyhiem.
Be careful there, just try it please, thank you.
Rhyhiem's girlfriend, Lavinia, has also come to say goodbye.
No phones on, nothing, yeah, please. finally like found someone that I could be affectionate with and also have a friendship with and be myself around him. He never leaves my mind. Some days I wake up and I just don't want to get out of bed. And other days I manage to get out of bed and go to school, but then when I'm at school, I don't want to be in school. I want to go back to bed. So I don't know my plans right now. I'm just trying to understand it all.
Less than 3 months after Rhyhiem's death, there is another murder on the Brandon estate.
3 men have been stabbed in South London. One died of his injuries. It happened last night in Camberwell, on the same road where 17-year-old Rhyhiem Barton died from a gunshot wound last May.
Just feet away from where his friend Rhyhiem died, Moscow 17's lead rapper is killed.
It's okay. Sorry. It's okay, it's okay.
Sadiq Kamara, also known as Incognito, was 23.
The government can't solve the problem, and there's many ways to solve it. So we're going to keep on making music, regardless if it influences people or it don't.
The impact of this community, you can't even put a quantification on it. It's not something you can measure. You're looking at a situation that resembles a war zone. That's what it is. Week after week, something is happening, and it is having an untold negative impact, psychological impact, emotional impact on us.
Sais believes that changing aspirations for children like Rhyhiem early on is key.
What are young black boys always told? Oh, you could be a musician, you can be a football player, you can be this. Like, it's never you can be a lawyer.
He also thinks exclusion from mainstream education at an early age creates enormous problems.
When a school or organisation decides to exclude and permanently exclude a 8-year-old, a young black male, like, you are setting them up to fail. You are setting them up for the stereotypical journey of a young black man. It is a school to prison pipeline or school to death pipeline.
In Jamaica, the time has come for Rhyhiem's funeral. Sais has made the journey too. He's been accompanied by his brother Tyson, who was also close to Rhyhiem.
How do we stop the next Rhyhiem? One thing for sure is that the onus doesn't just stop with us. There's that old adage, it takes a village to raise a child. That's parents, that's the community, that's us, that's the school, that's everyone. But I think a bigger part of affecting change in young people is for them to develop their empathy. If they can understand to a certain extent how somebody has felt, then it may deter them from doing something silly. If we can start to help young people develop those skills, then we start to affect change and we start to stop these terrible incidents happening.
As Rhyhiem's friends and family toast him ahead of the funeral, his cousin Armani finds it difficult to join in.
Well, today's the day Rhyhiem gets buried. Yeah, tears gonna be shed for him. Me and Rhyhiem was like brothers because we grew up as one. We was born in the same year. He's like my brother. To be honest, to me, like, it's just this stupid gang was like, all of it is just stupid, really. Because most of the guys that's beefing, they used to go to school with each other, and now they're growing up big and they think they're a big man. So everyone's just beefing over foolishness.
We give God the glory today for his love and his mercy that brought us in this congregation at this time. A young man has been taken away from us. As you hear, he's only 17 years of age. But there is an afterword, there is a feelings. There is when somebody knock at the door and said, your son is gone. But I want you to remember, it could be your son, it could be your brother, it could be anyone lying here today. Take time. God and friends, blessed of my body, stand up his love. Just there when you get to go alive. Okay.
Rhyhiem would have been 18 next month. Nobody has been charged with his murder.